One of the many things I love about Batman the Animated Series is that not every episode required a costumed villain plotting to destroy Gotham. Sometimes the worst villains weren't zombie snowmen or disgruntled genius game designers. Sometimes they were people we might meet in the real world. Immoral businessmen like Roland Daggett planned, in the episode Appointment in Crime Alley, to take Gotham's most deprived area, Park Row, demolish it and turn it into condos. The problem was there were people still living there, and they didn't want to move. It's a very personal human story about how a person's worth isn't determined by their bank balance, but the quality of their character. And by that measurement, Daggett is the most worthless man in Gotham. One of the cool things about this episode is that it's a very loose adaptation of a comic book story, Detective Comics number 457, There's No Hope in Crime Alley, written by Denny O'Neil. On the 21st anniversary of his parents' murder, Batman makes his way to the street where his parents were killed to pay his respects. Along the way, he stops several crimes, including the mugging of Leslie Thompkins. This issue introduced the character as the woman who briefly cared for Bruce in the aftermath of his parents' murder. Batman asks Leslie why she stays in such a destitute place. She responds by telling him that she once witnessed a terrible tragedy, a boy losing his parents to crime on this very street, and she has dedicated herself to making her neighbourhood a better place ever since then. This original version of Leslie Thompkins is pretty different from the one we saw in Batman the Animated Series. For starters, she has no idea that Bruce Wayne is Batman. In Batman the Animated Series, Leslie Thompkins was a college friend of Thomas Wayne's, and she comforted Bruce after his parents were murdered. Most importantly, she knew he was Batman. She provided medical assistance whenever he was too wounded for Alfred to patch him up. She was in some ways a maternal figure for Batman, someone who could speak to him plainly and scold him when he was being stubborn, but ultimately she was supportive of his mission and contributed in her own way. She took an active role in her community, as we see in this episode where she's part of the protest against Roland Daggett's aggressive takeover scheme. Daggett has been buying up the rundown buildings which are currently being rented out, and plans to turn them into gaudy condos. The law prevents Daggett from kicking his tenants out, so he sends over ruffians to persuade them to leave of their own accord, and when that doesn't work, he plots to commit arson. Now, none of this should be surprising to us. We had earlier met Daggett in Feet of Clay, where he got actor Matt Hagen hooked on a face-altering compound so that he could use him to impersonate his rivals and commit industrial espionage. Daggett had planned to take over Wayne Enterprises so that he could use their direct marketing channels to sell a beauty product containing this formula, despite its harmful properties. While Batman can easily beat Daggett's henchmen, who are more street-level criminals, Daggett's respectable type of crimes are harder to beat. One of the core themes of the episode is the human cost of progress. Daggett presents his vision to Gotham's elite at the Better Business Council. Condos, development, money, while the people of Park Row pay the price. Batman, on the other hand, literally puts his body on the line to save lives, reminding us that real improvement is about people, not profit. And that runaway tram is just the perfect metaphor for progress, always advancing forward with no concern for the damage it'll do if left unchecked. And when the story of the neighbourhood gets rewritten as if it was saved, it ignores the generations who lived, struggled and thrived there long before outsiders showed up. People like Leslie Thompkins and her neighbours in Crime Alley. Ultimately, the question I ask myself is, does Park Row really need more condos? Or is it just a way for Roland Daggett to line his own pockets? The answer is pretty clear. Gentrification is presented as the solution to dealing with impoverished, crime-ridden areas of cities. Simply knock down the old buildings, build new shiny ones, and give the place a fresh start. And hey, maybe that is appropriate in some cases. But if the objective is to clean up crime, there are far more efficient and effective ways of doing that. You could invest in the community, funding local schools, clinics and recreation spaces to give residents tools to thrive without being displaced. Note that this is the approach Bruce Wayne takes, investing in the community rather than displacing it. Daggett's solution is classic gentrification though. Push people out, demolish their homes, profit from luxury condos. Batman and Leslie Thompkins show that there's a better way though. Protect the residents, uphold justice, and improve safety without displacing people. The episode illustrates that what Daggett calls progress is just profiteering. Real progress is about human dignity and community. But when Daggett's dream is blocked by the residents and the courts, he does what he always does. He turns to crime. Daggett hires an explosives expert nicknamed Nitro to destroy the entire neighbourhood and make it look like a gas leak. For as much as Daggett presents himself as an upstanding citizen and champion for progress, in reality he's a common thug. He has no concern for the residents who still live in those buildings he plans to destroy. He had sent his men to try to force them out, so in his mind, anyone who chose to defy him made their choice and must live with the consequences, or die because of them. And there's very little subtlety at the start of the episode as Daggett leers over a burning model of Crime Alley. He looks like Satan, practically salivating at the prospect of those buildings being burnt down, likely thinking about all of the money that's going to be heading his way. Again, Daggett and his cronies show no regard for the human cost of the people that would be destroyed along with those buildings. When Leslie Thompkins stumbles upon Nitro and Daggett's henchman Crocker planting explosives, they can't allow her to go free, so they tie her up in a building with the explosives. And this is how they come to Batman's attention. Every year on the anniversary of his parents' deaths, Batman meets with Leslie Thompkins to pay their respects. However, this time Leslie is nowhere to be found. She would never deliberately miss this appointment, and so Batman goes looking for her. You may find yourself wondering why Leslie got involved in the first place. Couldn't she have just turned a blind eye to what was going on? Well, the answer is that she is proud of her community. She has lived there for decades, and while there undeniably is a problem with poverty and crime, good people also live there, and she cares about them. Batman feels similarly. To him, it's a monument to his parents and a reminder of why he goes out there to help people every night. Even in the Batman Beyond era, decades later, when his company Wayne Powers owns Park Row and Derek Powers proposes demolishing the place, the final ghastly reminder of what Gotham used to be like, Batman effectively comes out of retirement to argue that the place should be preserved for that reason. Yes, it had seen better days, but it helps keep the memory of his parents alive for him. But getting back to the events of Appointment in Crime Alley, when Batman goes looking for Leslie, he gets distracted by a number of events. The runaway tram and a disgruntled resident that has taken one of Daggett's employees hostage. But he's able to deal with them relatively quickly and without any casualties. When he comes across Nitro and Crocker as they complete their rounds, Batman persuades them to tell him what's going on. While he is able to disarm some of the bombs, most importantly the ones that will blow up occupied buildings, some of the vacant buildings are destroyed. When Daggett arrives on the scene, he tells the assembled press that this is the sort of thing you should expect from these people, a racially charged euphemism that has been used in place of slurs by politicians in the real world, and that they don't value human life like he does. Batman presents Crocker and Nitro, showing that they were the perpetrators, and despite Crocker indicating that he was following Daggett's orders, the police still allow Daggett to walk away. If it were any other person, they would at least have been questioned, but because of who Daggett is, he gets to sit in the back of his limo and get chauffeured out of there, much to Batman's frustration. To him, and probably most other people, Daggett is clearly to blame, but he managed to slip away once again. While Batman is incredulous, Leslie takes a more balanced approach. Men like Daggett always get what's coming to them. Rather than wasting energy thinking about a louse like him, she and Batman go and memorialize her dead friends. Appointment in Crime Alley is a story that serves as a reminder of what kind of hero Batman really is. He protects Gotham because he loves its people, even the ones society has written off. That's what separates him from men like Roland Daggett, who see communities as dollar signs instead of human lives. This episode asks us to think about what progress really means. Is it glass towers and luxury condos, or is it safer streets for kids to walk home on? Leslie Thompkins embodies the answer. Progress is people. It's about compassion, dignity, and care for your neighbours, and in a show filled with monsters, supervillains and madmen, Appointment in Crime Alley reminds us that the scariest villains are often the ones who smile in boardrooms. At the same time, it also says the smallest acts of decency, showing up, protecting your community, and honouring those you've lost, can be just as powerful as stopping a runaway tram. Okay, that's it for this week's essay. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, tell all your friends about me. You know how YouTube works. If you really enjoyed the video and have the means, please consider making use of the thanks button to send a buck or two my way, because every little helps. I offer channel memberships for $1.99 a month. This will get you early access to my weekly video essay, priority responses to your comments, members-only videos, custom emojis, and an icon on your profile indicating that you're one of my people. And special thanks to my channel members. Everyone who was a member at the time of this video's creation is listed on the screen right now. If you want to see your name amongst all these wonderful people, join the channel now. Next time, I'll be back on Friday to kick off my spooky month videos, where I'll be focusing on horror-themed characters and episodes. Up first is the doting wife of Kirk Langstrom, who would go on to become a casualty of her father's obsession. We're going to be talking about Francine Langstrom, the She-Bat. And next Monday, it's time to revisit one of my favourite characters from the overlooked film Justice League Gods and Monsters. I want to talk about their version of Wonder Woman, Becca, the renegade new god. Hope to see you then.